somebody help me make sense of all of this. We are entering a new phase of final opinions, hot takes, and brutal comparisons between fragrances, given that I've used up 4-5 full-size bottles and about a dozen of decants. 2025 has been starting with a bang. I have a lot of things to show you. I'm already sensing some new cloud of trends forming in my mind in the collective consciousness of Perfume Nation, but we'll talk about it in a dedicated video about trends for 2025. But first, let's see what I've been using up and what it means for my ever-exploding fragrance collection. I have 5 bottles to show you today. First things first, I finished up La Mia Perla by La Perla. I had 50 ml bottle that I used up completely, and when I had 10 ml left, the spray broke, so I had to repackage it, rehome it into a large decant type of situation. Finally used up. I already, as I showed you in my nude fragrances video, I have a backup of this delightful fragrance. This is one of my favorite soft, spicy floral nudes, if that phrase makes any sense in your mind. So yeah, very happy that I finished a full-size bottle of it, minus 50 ml to me. Thank you very much. Moving on. Another nude, something I was just bathing in, Clean Sun-Kissed Skin. Clean has very decent, interesting enough type of affordable scents that you can purchase for very decent 50% off or more discount in gray markets and used. So one of the things that I really like about this body splash of Sun-Kissed Skin, that their fragrance skin, that is these a laundry detergent type of masks plus some soft creamy fruitiness, if you wish. This, as a summer limited edition Sun-Kissed Skin, was done with well-rounded creamy coconut. I loved it. It lasted exactly 20 minutes, not much more. It was fun. It was fun while it lasted. I used up 75 ml of it. However, when it comes to coconutty scents, I do prefer either something way more complex and more like a dessert, which is Fils de Dieu for me by Etat Libre d'Orange, with rice pudding and other flavors, or something that contrasts coconut with a juxtaposition with another note. Here we have a mineral accord, kind of salty, very zesty, very mineral, with coconut in Sydney Rock Pool by Arquiste. So I don't really see any point to repurchase Sun-Kissed Skin, that's a mouthful, by Clean, or even explore the Dirty Coconut or other type of perfumes of that nature. It's just simple coconutty perfumes. Sound boring to me. It's just the same as just simple vanilla perfumes. They don't really do anything for me anymore. And when it comes to simpler or nudie perfumes, I made a whole video that you can watch about it, to name a few. Creamy Lilacs. Creamy Lilacs to me are way more interesting, and Jill Sander style is a bargain for that type of creamy white floral situation, minus the tuberose, because I have a headache when it comes to tuberose accords. I don't know what exactly causes it. It's better after me having COVID twice. But still, tuberose is a very difficult accord for me to handle. Or things that are like well-rounded rice paper, ethereal roundness, such as Softly, Jill Sander, Serene. So there are many options, and I'll send you to my nude fragrances recent collection video that seems to be quite popular and people love it. to watch more of that kind. Somehow coconut doesn't really made no fragrance centered around coconut has ever made a cut into that category. We'll see if the new year brings something exciting, something that's worth a full-size bottle, but not yet. Next bottle, fully finished Lilac Path by Aerin. I got it, I think half size on Mercari, used probably about 15 ml of it, and then either it got bad or started getting bad, or I just got tired of it. It just started smelling annoyingly zesty to me. The green notes that are combined with lilac-y notes, it was just drilling in my head, and I ended up using it as pretty much a room refresher spray, which was fine, but not my favorite lilac. I love how Aerin fragrances are packaged, and I do have a favorite in their line. We'll talk about it later today in this video. But Lilac Path, I think it's a pass. When it comes to the most beautiful, imaginative lilac fragrance, I would probably any time of the day go with a Lilac Exquis by Jacques Fath. That to me is a much better option to try if you're interested in lilac scents. So this is a goodbye. We're not gonna meet again. Empty bottle number 4. We have this cute, I mean, what it's full-size bottle, has a spray in the whole thing. It's this little cute Tempête Autumn, something about fall, leaves of fall, by Jacques Fath, Fath Essentials. It's the line that's, I think, slowly but surely getting some traction in the fragrance community. And I feel I'm personally responsible for at least the fact that Tempête Autumn and Lilac Exquis have been sold out on FragranceNet on quite a few occasions. And I talked about them endlessly on my channel. So Tempête Autumn to me is the perfect soft, spicy, sour patchouli type of fall scent that is not too sour and it's not too kitchen spicy, because we all love dessert baked spices. That's all great, but there's so much of it already that when you're trying to find a fall fragrance that is not too sweet, not too sour, not too sharp, not too textured, soft enough but interesting enough, it's actually pretty hard. And I find that Tempête Autumn by Jacques Fath is that type of a unicorn. You smell it and you will not find anything like that in your collection. So if you like this idea of golden, soft, spiced up, warmed up patchouli, this is a beautiful scent. For those of you who are concerned about some of those type of golden leaf scents smelling rotting or soil-like, that's not the case. It's not too wet, it's not too dumpy, it's doesn't have too much of a petrichor type of situation going on. I love it. I used up a decant, then I got myself, 20 ml or 15 ml bottle, and then I got myself 50 ml replacement. So I think the verdict here is pretty clear. It's super unique, cool addition to your collection by this particular brand. I feel like Lilac Exquis and Tempête Autumn are the two to try, and you can do that from my stash as well. If you want to first sample the waters before you take a plunge, you can do that. I'll leave a link below. Next, Copper Canyon by Good Chemistry. It was such a good, imaginative, affordable fragrance brand. They used to be sold in Target, and they had a bit of a blossoming phase when they were coming up with almost too many collections too soon, but all of them were interesting. They were not really parfums. They were more imaginative, contemporary waters. So light eau de toilette body sprays that were really cool, really imaginative. Something like Fleur or Sol de Janeiro, I think that's the name of the brand. That's what they do, but more interesting, actually. More interesting, more imaginative. And Copper Canyon is one of those abstract but so comfortable scents, and the Copper Canyon, compared to many other good chemistry scents, is long lasting. Why am I telling you this? I don't know, because most of the stuff that they ever made have been discontinued, and I feel the world of perfumery really lost a lot because we don't really have budget friendly, tastefully made fragrances. That these two somehow never really meet. Bath and Body Works, to me, it's just chemical bombs, including Victoria's Secret fragrances. It's just too much stink, too synthetic, too abstract. And to find something that is cool, interesting, imaginative, but super affordable and has a little bit of a breath of culture, of contemporary culture mixed in, that's exceedingly rare. So Good Chemistry was one of them, but I guess no more. As far as I know, they still do exist, but they have probably 5 to 7 fragrances, only one collection, so it's a big loss. Copper Canyon, to me, is this silky, refreshingly sour musk. And this reminds me somewhat in character, not in specific pyramid, but in character to Burberry Body Tender. I really liked it, and I thought maybe I could replace it with a refreshingly sour, musky berry scent, because I feel berries are ascending. The army of berry scents is going to be definitely one of the trends in 2025. So I have tried, thanks to my subscriber, and finished a Healing Berry by Jorum Studio. Jorum? I think Jorum Studio. And it's all right. It's more berry than I almost wish it was. It's naturalistically making me think of gooseberry or some other medicinal type of berries, which I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of. It's cool, but I don't think I would wear that as a personal perfume that often. So -3 ml, but I think Healing Berry is not for me. I'll keep looking for a more appropriate, more sparkly or more soothing, more perfume-like berry scent. Look at that. That's quite a collection. All right, and that's not even all. Another category adjacent to berries is all kinds of fruity scents, and I think the milkshakes, the souffle type of fruits are probably where my comfort zone is. I don't like overtly fruit salady scents. It's not elegant enough for me even to wear to the beach. Just doesn't quite get my imagination go. It doesn't really give me the boost that I'm looking for. A very expensive option that I tried is the Harmonist Guiding Water. It's pretty much think Davidoff Cool Water softened with freesia lotusy type of accord. It's cool. Fragrances like that, I don't know if it's a cologne molecule itself or other things that they wrap to provide this fresh, fruity type of accord. They used to be called aquatics, but now we have a new generation of aquatics that are really supreme to the 90s versions. So Guiding Water to me is way more 90s type of cologne, Davidoff Cool Water type of perfume, just a little bit elevated, but for the price that they're selling it at, I can't justify it. It also went bad. I couldn't even finish it really quickly. And I did notice that that's the thing about aquatic fruity perfumes. They really don't last on the shelf. If you buy one, you should be in the mood to use it now. Otherwise, it's not exactly the thing that you can put in a dark corner of your shelf and, pull out 10 years later. They just don't work. Aquatic fruity perfumes at best last maybe 2-3 years, and that's about it. And the versions that I way prefer to that that are somewhat more affordable, I would say, is Laboratorio Olfativo, their white collection, specifically None, and I think Milo. That's the two that are really... So I'm pretty much replacing Guiding Water with this, and I also have a teeny tiny bottle of Davidoff Cool Water. That's gonna do just fine for me. And the Harmonist Guiding Water is just not special enough in my book to really go for it. And I also not a big fan of their bottle design, to be honest. Just not for me. All right, my 3-year-long search for the perfect Neroli fragrance is finally coming to an end. And I'm here to report that after extensive sampling, and I'll show you what I've sampled, I've arrived at a very unfortunate conclusion that nearly all Neroli-centric scents smell the same to me. And there's that whole months of wearing different shades of Neroli scents. It was a waste of time. And yet, I will try to make sense for my own sake and for you. I have finished Neroli Nasimba by Maison Crivelli. It was a rather confusing plasticky patchouli scent to me, with a bit of a sharpness of Neroli, but not the best facets of Neroli to begin with. I am not a big fan of Neroli Nasimba. It's not the patchouli I would wear, and that's not the Neroli I would wear. But I am infinitely grateful to a subscriber who sent me a decant to try. So Neroli Nasimba Maison Crivelli. Next is Juliette Has a Gun, Gentlewoman. This was cyanidic bitter almond plus Neroli. It is an interesting one. A friend of mine has a full-size bottle, is a big fan, and she sent me 5 ml to try a while ago. And it was just so harsh and austere. You know, imagine cyanidic bitter almonds plus sharp Neroli. It's just like a knife piercing through. And yet, I learned to appreciate it enough to finish the sample, but it's still a bit much for me. If you have hot skin, if you're constantly sweating, if you just generally have higher temperature than an average person, maybe this will open up interestingly. And yet I'm not 100% sure that such austere components blossom on hot skin well. Sometimes they go even more sour or bitter than on the cold skin. So I don't know. If you've ever worn Gentlewoman by Juliette Has a Gun, let us know. It's one of their classics. It's not the bestseller, but it's one of the OGs by Juliette Has a Gun, and one of the more interesting ones for sure. And yet, just a bit too harsh for me. Next was the Neroli à la Cardamome La Guatemala by Chopard, and their oat perfumery line, a more expensive line that they have at Chopard. I used up 4 ml. So Neroli Neroli à la Cardamome de Guatemala is clean. You know, Neroli smells like soap because soaps smell like Neroli. So this is the most common description of fragrances that you'll find when you think about Neroli-centric. It will smell like soap. And Neroli as a ingredient is not that far from fleur d'orange and other orange tree-based, orange blossom type of ingredients. However, it has this characteristic. Neroli can be very sharp, like a blade, almost bitter. Think sharp, light, bitter orange. Or Neroli can be scratchy, very textured, with the same facet, but not as sharp, as it falls into this little fluffy, soapy type of accord. And the Chopard Neroli is more of a sharper edge at the beginning and softer, very almost sandalwood type of woody accord at the heart. That combination makes it very charming. It's a very interesting dynamic to witness. but I'm not a big fan of the opening, and it's, I'm gonna say it, okay, generic. For the price tag that Chopard wants for their haute perfumery, high perfumery line, I think I am just as well served with a recently purchased Elizabeth and James Nirvana French Grey. Here it's muskier Neroli. You don't get that creamy woody accord at the heart, which I appreciate in the Chopard Neroli, but the opening, and I would say 70% of the scent here is nearly the same. And this is, again, maybe it's just my nose is not sensitive enough to the 50 Shades of Neroli, but this does the job, and it costs 10 times less. Something of that nature. And the last notable Neroli, and I want to specifically emphasize this because this is super affordable celebrity fragrance, is Glow by J.Lo. I've had a mini years ago, many years ago, and I remember that it was very annoyingly prickly to me in my memory and too sweet. But that was so many years ago. That was before I really knew anything about Neroli or notes or anything. I just remember it was fizzy and too sweet at the same time. It was a really odd combination. However, now things make way more sense. Orange blossom, Neroli, and grapefruit, jasmine rose and tuberose, musk, vanilla, sandalwood, and amber. I dare say, comparatively to Neroli scents that I don't like, this is not bad. Glow by J.Lo is a very decent Neroli scent. The bottle looks, I would say it's beautiful. So not that bad. I enjoyed wearing those 2 ml. And when it comes to my favorite Neroli so far, which I am considering purchasing full size, but we'll see in the next installment of Last Drops if I did or did not do so, is Aerin Aegea Blossom. A lot of people complain that Aegea Blossom is, I'm halfway through, but just a few words. A lot of people complain that this is just a soapy scent, but I love it for it. And to me, it's floral enough, interesting enough that this is the Neroli scent I'm gravitating towards. So it turns out of the two typical facets of Neroli-centric scents, I'm more into the fluffy, soapy part than I am into the sharp, piercing, astringent Neroli type of part. Though, I do have an option if I ever want to wear one. I just don't see a point of buying an expensive Neroli scent at this time because I've had about enough. Just while testing all of this, I think I pretty much closed that chapter. And as many of you know who wear a lot of perfumes, it's impossible to go through a month of wearing and trying perfumes without at least 2 genres jumping at you from every corner, and that is white florals, Neroli, and roses. So let's see at the pack of the rose perfumes that I've tried, wore, finished, and now ready to tell you my final opinion on and make a buying decision. Stéphane Humbert Lucas, Rose Petra. I think that's the name, yeah, Rose Petra. I found this to be a mixture of chemical, I think hairspray scent, and roses that are soapy almost. Not my favorite combination. I tried wearing it, I tried enjoying it, and I was just constantly underwhelmed. It was not the facets of the rose and the framing that I enjoy. So Rose Petra by Stéphane Humbert Lucas 777 is definitely a no, and I have absolutely no reason to go back to that. I have worn yet another 5 ml of, is it 5? Yeah, it's 5 ml of Hollyrose by Room 1015. This is pretty much how I enjoy my perfume collection. I wash these with soap, I let them dry, and then I fill them with more perfume, something that I throw in every purse. I have probably 10 different decants in every single purse, pocket, nook, a little little jar. They're pretty much everywhere. And I do wear them, and when I'm done, that goes into the last drops video like this one. So still love it, still one of the best pot high roses. Amazing, fun, amazing, -5 ml. And I contemplated buying Serge Lutens Fil de Berlin because I used up a decant, and it's a really good, vibrant, classical rose. But finishing Frederic Malle Un Rose decant, thanks to my subscriber 5 ml, that has the same theme, but imagine it's more tannin, it's more wine type of a rose. It has way more of a sharper wine tart edge to it. I changed my mind. I'm still as a collector in me wants to have Fil de Berlin by Serge Lutens just for the sake of having yet another bottle, just having all of them stacked. But I used up 5 ml by Frederic Malle, and then I got a gift of Un Rose. I think it's now called Rose Tonnerre. It's the same fragrance, they just renamed it. Rose Tonnerre or Un Rose is just superior in my view in terms of composition. It just has this something extra. It's just so polished. It's just so precise. This is the red wine type of a rose that if you want an exemplary rose of that kind, this is the supreme version. Rose Tonnerre or Un Rose. So I already have a bottle that will last me my lifetime, so I opted to finish the decant, to shelve for now my desire for Serge Lutens. Not gonna go there, not gonna buy it, and move forward. A few odd florals, so continue the logical train of thought here. I finished Dead Cool Madonna Lily that I got fairly recently, within a year, from Scentbird. Completely finished it. To me, the longer I wore Madonna Lily, the more I felt it was sparkly, sour, woody scent than it was a lily scent. So I think I am gonna pass on the bottle, but it was really delightful, very easy to wear. It does subtly remind me of Baiser Volé by Cartier, which is a light lily example, this floaty, fresh, sparkly lily scent. It's a good enough replacement, and it's cheaper than Cartier, I think, but it's just not special enough. And also something that upsets me, I realized that the new bottles by Scentbird are not refillable. You can only throw them away. You cannot really do anything else with them. And the fact that you cannot put them, they don't stand, and they're not refillable, it's all very wasteful. Not a big fan of what they did with their decant bottles. Not a big fan. Another odd floral that I finished the 5 ml off is a smoky powdery iris. And here we have Le Liquide Imaginaire Tapis Volant. It is supposed to be this austere, sharpened by jasmine and almost soil with petrichor element to it type of an iris. To me, this is smoky and indeed very stern, very buttoned up type of iris. It's very dry. To me, soil always have this green, wet, right? These almost fat feel to it, oily feel to it, but not this one. This is very powdery, dry, and a little bit bitter, smoky. Not the easiest fragrance to wear, but it certainly has its charm. And I find that Iris Perfumes is some more rare Japanese type of meals. It grows on you. Iris type of accord making is definitely something that grows on you, and it's not necessarily the most entrance friendly type of genre of perfumes. I did get the full-size Tapis Volant bottle as a gift from my subscriber, so I will continue to wear it. Not the easiest one, but definitely has pedigree. It really, really grew on me. So 5 ml, I'm finished, and yet If you're looking for something a little bit more user-friendly, a little bit easier to wear, I'm absolutely in love with Tender Light by Estee Lauder. It's their Luxe collection. It's their version of Haute Parfumerie. And this one is softer, easier to wear. It's softened, rounded, slightly sweetened in a very delicate, rosy, parfait type of sense. Here, Iris is very, very even and soothing. I think they say that they have tea accord in that as well. So if between the two, I would probably go with Tender Light if I didn't already have a bottle of Tapis Volant, but I'm keeping the bottle for now, and I do appreciate the composition. This is one of the good Liquide Imaginaires, though I think Francis Kurkdjian has something that's quite similar to my memory. I think it was called Amiris. I think so. And much sweeter, much more populist type of iris is Replica Exchange Lipstick On by Maison Margiela. I at some point bought a battery of samples because I couldn't find a full-size bottle for affordable enough price, so I keep finishing them up, but I do have a full-size bottle that was also a gift. This is my guilty pleasure. This is very sweet, very dessert type of iris, and I love it for it. I forgot another iconic white floral. I finished up Lancôme Poème 2 ml, and I used to have 2 bottles of Lancôme, one vintage, one more contemporary, and to be honest, I couldn't really tell a difference. You let a newer bottle macerate for a couple of years, it becomes so rich, so nuanced, so luxurious, just like the old school perfumery used to be. However, I've overused Poème by Lancôme. First of all, these sweet, complex, all-enveloping white florals, they are already a difficult genre for me to wear on myself. But not only I did wear Lancôme Poème extensively, I also, unfortunately, broke a bottle in my house. It was impossible to get rid of that scent. I threw away so many rugs and I scraped and scraped and scraped, but the whole house was pretty much filled with Lancôme Poème for weeks and weeks on end, no matter how much airflow I created. So I appreciate Lancôme Poème. I sold one bottle and almost finished the second one before it broke on my floor. And I think I'm done for a good while, but it's iconic. If you're looking for something on the order of Raja Perfumes, Kilian, or Boutique Guerlain, Lancôme Poème used to be a bestseller, and then people forgot about it, but this is one of queen type of floral perfumes. It's truly flamboyant, large, complex, bigger than life, vivacious type of scent. It's very, very rich. Karloff Cuir Mythique. I found it in my car and I used it in my car because this is the type of leather, and this is very expensive scent, okay? So don't do what I do. It's just I'm not a big fan of smoky, austere, rough leather scents. And I don't know how, but I have an endless supply of them in my collection. So the way that I slowly work my way through them, and the examples could be even Cabochard by Grey, I would dare say is a bit rough, but I still do wear it sometimes. But Cuir Mythique by Karloff, some of the more rough, like Russian leather, Italian leather, Moroccan leather by Memo. I think Zara leather, actually, to me is also pretty out there. Those very sharp, smoky leathers, they're just, no, not my thing. I either prefer soft type of leather or more gourmand type of leather, or at least softened by something. So I pretty much put those in decants in my car, and I spray it in the car, And you know, this typical new leather seats in the car type of smell, that's what it gets me in my car. That works beautifully. I really enjoy them in that context, but not in any other. One of my favorite staple old school perfumes that I rarely wear, but I feel it's like putting on a crown with jewels, is L'Heure Bleue 2021 version, which is these type of flacons. I was very seduced to buy myself this version because I like the flacons, but I already have an old vintage refill. So I compared the two, and thanks to my subscriber who sent me the new version of L'Heure Bleue, I gotta say, nearly indistinguishable. The new version understandably has a richer, lighter, more flamboyant opening, and I dare say it's not necessarily by the way Guerlain reformulates. With every new repackaging, they reformulate their classic scents, which is actually, a small rant, the only path to continuous reformulation that I personally accept. Because if you are to reformulate a classic scent, make it a thing then. And Guerlain, I think, found a decent way to do it. So every time they reformulate L'Heure Bleue, Mitsuko, or any of them, they repackage them into like new flacons, new bottles, and they release them almost as a collection of renewed classics. I think that's fair. What I find not fair is what happened with J'adore Dior and many other scents when 5 years down the road, it's the same bottle, it's much higher price tag, but it's nearly unrecognizable scent. It's nothing. Well, not nothing, okay. Similar enough, but not like it used to be. That is a very disappointing customer experience, and I would rather other brands do what Guerlain does every once in a while. So I really was tempted to buy L'Heure Bleue in this type of flacon, but they're close enough, which is good news if you don't have vintage and you're thinking about it. The new one is close enough, and actually vintages often suffer from their top notes being bitten. They're no longer the perfumes do age. In that sense, they become all smelling a little bit more similar to each other, all old perfumes, not necessarily because of the perfume making at the time, which is also a factor, but the fact that they lose their top notes. It's a universal process. There's nothing you can do about it. So if you really want this full bloom, this full dynamic experience from the top of the top and then the middle and then to the base, you're better off just, buying a new bottle of something. So in that sense, newer L'Heure Bleue is even better than the old one because it has this whole spectrum. My old one is very rich, is very nuanced, but it doesn't have those sparkly top notes anymore. But since I have it, and since I rarely wear L'Heure Bleue, I should do it more often, but it's just such a rich, complex perfume. When I wear it, it takes a lot of my attention and a lot of my energy. It's like that statement dress that wears you rather than you wearing it. So L'Heure Bleue is not something that I just put on and forget it exists. It's an experience. It's a journey. So for now, I finished the decant. Highly recommend if you're looking to renew your classics in your collection. This collection is really good. Finally, Guerlain did their classics justice with the reformulation, and it's close enough to the vintage. The last one for today, before we do our magical accounting of my usage and how much of precious liquids I actually spray on myself, is Sancti by Le Liquide Imaginaire. I do have a full-size bottle, and this is again an example of how I mindfully use what I have. I'm gonna wash this, dry this, and put some other perfume in here that coincides with my obsessions of genres of perfumery at this time, things that I want to test, wear, or compare with something else. Sancti is my favorite fresh incense perfume. I've tried many. I've looked for unusual incense perfumes, and I can say that I found some real gems. So I do stick with Sancti because first of all, I have a bucket, and the grapefruit note that adds to the light sparkly incense here is delightful, just delightful. So my favorite fresh incense, I'll continue to wear it, and so far nothing came close to shake it from the top 3 incense fragrances that I have. Sancti. All right, time to do our magical accounting. How much do you think that represents? I only count the milliliters that I know I used on myself. So if I mention that I, let's say, use some of this to use as a room spray, I don't count how many milliliters on average I used for any other purpose. Take a wild guess. I have used up 250 ml. Plus minus 1 milliliter. This is pretty astonishing. That said, not very often I finish that many bottles on end. Obviously, it took longer than a month, but I only count things that are leaving my collection. Obviously, I use more perfumes than that. If the bottle is not empty, I don't count it. It's just makes it easier. So then when it's fully gone, I can count the whole thing. So that creates this unevenness in my calculations. On average, I've been doing last drops. We've been here discussing perfumes, making final judgments, and discussing alternatives and options and anti-hauls in a way for a while now. And on average, it's about 90 milliliters in every episode. And that's between a month and a half to 2 and 3 months. Really depends on how things go for me. I usually make an episode when I have enough for you to show, and I came up with a grounding basic comparison that that makes sense to talk about in terms of our buying decisions and purchasing tactics that we do. What does it tell us today? That a lot of my empties come from my existing collection. I am doing really well so far, congratulate me, on using what I have. So the principles of mindful hedonism that you can watch in the dedicated video are really working for me now. And slowly but surely, I'm finishing up vast collections of decants that I have to try from new brands, old brands, all kinds of comparisons. And I try to group them together into a meaningful little concerto of scents that we can discuss them comprehensively and make actionable conclusions from the rich variety that fragrance industry throws our way every year in this exponentially exploding world of scents. Now it's time for you to deliver your judgments. What have you been working on? Have you used up any bottles? Are any particular scents that you're bathing in that you just don't want to change for anything else? How is your size of your perfume collection going? Let's compare, let's sync our perfume watches and see where we are in terms of keeping things balanced and yet vibrant, and adding a little bit of new, enjoying a little bit of old, and keeping things vibrant enough so we're not bored, but not overwhelming at the same time. I hope you enjoyed this video and my very Ariel Goth inspired outfit. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe. There's a lot of new material coming soon, so I will see you in the next video, and I'll be waiting for your comments down below.